Okay, you guys, welcome back to our Thursday night team Zoom. I am so excited to be doing this tonight. I'm your double diamond leader, Weston. For those of you who don't know me, we have the immense honor of having Rachelle Coakley on today. She is a presidential diamond. She's a huge inspiration to me. I follow her on Instagram and just watch her. She lives this amazing life, you guys. I can't wait for her to tell her story to you. She also got to go to Costa Rica with the top 20 retreat, right? Which is amazing. And I'm going to pick your brain a little bit about that as well. And so, yeah, I'm just going to kind of let you take over at this point, kind of just obviously tell your story. You can go as in-depth or not as you want to. If you want to give us the short version, that's fine too. I know, like, after you've been in for years, it's kind of hard to just, like, condense it, but do your best.
It is so hard to condense it. So I'll just kind of, whoops. I just got cut off. Was that my Wi-Fi?
I see you.
Oh, you can see me? Okay. What the heck happened? Yeah, hold on. Oh, there we are. Okay. So sorry. It went away. Like it just went away. And I'm like, what the heck? I cannot see anybody. Okay.
No,
so
you're
sorry.
Fine.
So yes, I'm Rachelle Coakley. I am a presidential diamond and I've been in for 3.5 years now. So, yeah, it's so crazy because it's like so hard to condense everything, you guys. But I got started, I was working full time as an office manager, okay, over 50 hours a week. And I worked over an hour away from my home. So like that commute was insane. Okay. We're talking at the time I was working like 6 a.m. To like 4 or 5 p.m. And then I wasn't getting home until like 8 p.m. So it was awful. And then I was also going to school full-time, 18 credits. I was taking that online. So as soon as I got home, I was having to work on my school. And so when I say I had a full schedule, I'm telling you full schedule. I did not have Huntley, my daughter at the time. So Brian and I, my fiance, we were brand new. And I was babysitting, which is crazy, right? I picked up babysitting on a Saturday afternoon. My friend needed to go get her hair done. And I was like, yeah, sure. I'll watch your kids. No big deal. And so she comes home and she had a wrap on, like while she went to go get her hair done, she had a wrap on. So she came back and she took off her wrap and she's throwing it away as we're talking. And I was like, what, ew, what is that? Like that thing looks so gross. And she's like, oh, it's a wrap. It tightens tones so firm, like all this stuff. And she had just had a baby 6 months prior. And I had never had a kid and her stomach looked better than mine. And I was like, whoa. I know people that need that. I could do this too. I had about $10,000 in credit card debt because I was living in an apartment that I absolutely could not afford. I was putting gas and food on credit cards, which I do not suggest ever. I couldn't afford. I was living outside of my means. And so, anyways, I told her that I wanted to join her, but I didn't have the $99 at the time. So I left there thinking about it. It never left my mind. I wanted to join, but she never followed up with me, you guys. She never followed up with me. So a week later, I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw one of her best friends, because I had known their group of friends for a long time. I saw one of her best friends posting about this wrap. And I was like, I'm going to pick her brain because I now have the $99. I had sold something and I put the other half on my credit card, because I knew that I could sell them. And here's the crazy part. Sorry if you hear my daughter Huntley running around. It's 9:30 here. She usually goes to bed at 7 and she's on West Coast time because we just flew back from Oregon to Florida a couple days ago.
I honestly love it because I have so many people who are like, I have kids. It's crazy. And I'm just like, dude, we all have kids and it's all crazy. Yeah, my husband is trying to navigate bedtime by himself for the first time. So if you see me nodding and shaking my head, it's because I'm giving instructions. Yes. So you're fine.
Say hi.
Hi, Abby.
She grabbed my dream board and was stomping on it. That is don't stomp on my dreams.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, I joined with the girl who is being consistent with her posting. Luckily, she actually was able to place me under that girl that I babysat for. So it all worked out. But I want you guys to understand that I joined with her because she was consistent and she answered my questions and the other girl did not follow up with me. So I didn't join with her. They both have since quit. Okay. When I went diamond, they actually quit the business. So I didn't have any leadership. I didn't have any people to tell me what I was supposed supposed to be doing. I knew in my heart that I needed this business. And one last little plug, when I started, I did not know we had any other products other than the wrap. Okay. That's nuts. Cause it's only 3 years ago. Right. And the wrap wasn't even like that big 3 years ago. It was still, like there was other products that were huge at the time, like the cleanse and the greens and all these things. And then when the coffee came out, my business like exploded. So I'll tell you about that in a second. But, so I got started right away. It actually took me 6 months to go executive. Okay. It took me a while. And I remember Brian looking at me like, well, you're on your phone a lot, but like, you're not, like $300 a month. That's great. But like, you're on your phone a lot for $300 a month. But here's the thing. I started for $300 a month. I started for that minimum payment on my $10,000 credit card. So I was good with that. I was like, I'm making the amount that I needed to make. But I knew that I wanted more. I was so self-limiting. Because I had all these excuses in my head of like, well, my team's not working. Like I had 2 people on my team and they didn't do a dang thing. Okay. So I got myself to executive, no problem. But I was bitter about it. I was like, well, as soon as my team starts working or as soon as I find somebody who wants to work, then my business will take off. I got news for you guys. You can get all the way to diamond and sometimes even above. I built Brian's mom's account to double diamond by myself in 60 days. No lie. Okay. So when I tell you that if you want something, you can get it. You can get it, but you have to know that you're worthy. You have to know that it's going to take hard work and you have to be willing to have anybody else's work be extra. You have to be willing to do all of the work yourself. And then all of that is just going to be extra. If they sign a customer, that's extra. If they sign a distributor, that's extra. That's great, but you're going to do it. Okay. So fast forward, I went to conference as an executive, in my 6 months. It was like 6 to 10 month area of being in the business. One of my uplines, you all right, baby? Come here. You're okay. Come here. She's so tired. So I went to conference. One of my uplines was like, you have to get to conference because you can't afford not to be there. Well, I'm from Oregon originally, you guys. So this meant me flying across the country. I had barely started making a dent in that $10,000 credit card debt. And I was like, well, how do I get there? I guess I'll just put it on my credit card, right? Like that's the only way I'm going to get there. And so I did. I put it on my credit card. I flew across the country by myself. I did not know anybody. I remember Brian being like, so like, not okay with it because he was like, you don't like, you're staying with who? Like, you don't know them. And I'm like, it's fine. Like, she's my presidential upline. Like, it's cool. She's going to let me stay in her house the first night. And then I'm staying in a hotel with random girls the next night. And it was fine because I met some of my best friends that way, you guys. It's so incredible. You got to get to conference. If you're not getting there, you still have time. But I went as an executive. I was not boxed for anything. I was not charted for anything. I had 2 people on my team, period. Okay. And they weren't working. Okay. So I got there. Mark announced a $10,000 bonus for Diamond. I had 45 days to hit it. We had 45 days from the day that we left conference to hit it. I turned around at the people who were in the stands with me because we were like up in the nosebleeds, and I was like, I'm going to get that bonus. Like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get it. And they had talked to us a lot at that conference. I think it was 2017's conference. They had talked to us a lot about self-development. They had talked to us a lot about growing and self-growth. And I realized that like, whoa, I'm not growing my mind. I'm sitting here waiting for others to do the work for me when I just need to take control. So you heard me say I had over an hour drive to work. So I stopped listening to music and I started listening to Audible and I started listening to podcasts and I started filling my mind up with positivity. I started listening to, my first book I ever listened to was You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. You guys, that book like changed everything for my mindset. It changed everything. So if you have not read it, please put that on Audible and just listen to it. And, you can listen to a lot of books in 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours in traffic a day. And maybe you only have a 15-minute commute. Put on a book. Okay. I'm telling you, it is so worth your time. And that is actually what I preach to my team is this business is 80% work, or excuse me, 80% mindset and 20% work. Okay. So the work, you can do all the work all day long. The problem is if you don't have the mindset to back it, you're not getting anywhere. You're like spinning in a circle. Okay. So you can send out 1 million messages, but if you're not in a good headspace, you're not going to get any good feedback. You guys ever notice that if you have a bad day and then like you send out a bunch of messages and you're like, well, everybody that I've talked to today is just like grumpy and they don't want anything to do with what I have. And they're just like saying no and nobody wants anything to do with it. When in reality, if you actually counted, it was probably like 2 people that said no, thank you. And you probably could have turned it into a host to post, but you were just so grumpy and like frustrated that you only focused on those 2 people, right? But if your headspace is in a positive mindset, those 2 people aren't even going to phase you because the 5 that said, yeah, I'd like more info, that's what you're focused on. Right? But you don't even notice it when you're in a bad headspace. Okay. So that's what I tell my people all the time. It's like 80% mindset, 20% work. Okay. So, I know my story is really long. I'm sorry, but I'm going with it. So, I got home. I talked to Brian. I was like, listen, this changed my entire life. And for the next 45 days, I am not cooking you dinner. I am not doing the dishes. I'm probably not going to do my own laundry. You can choose to do it if you want to, but I am all in. All it works 24/7. When I am not at work, I am at works right now because I need this $10,000 bonus. We needed that $10,000 bonus. And so, I got to work, you guys. And back then the diamond chart was 24 people. Okay. Remember I told you I only had 2 people on my team. So it was 24 people then. And, now it's what, 14? I think it's 14 or 12, 15. 16. Sorry, you guys.
I think it's 16.
16. Yeah. So like, seriously, like I was like, I have 22 boxes to fill at that time, but I was like, I'm going to do it. And I remember filling in a name and then I would be like 19 more, like only 19 more. And Brian's like, that's like 19, like that's a lot. And I'm like, no, it's only 19. Like that was my mindset. I knew I was going to get it done come hell or high water. And I'll do this little plug in there. I am like huge on my faith. I know Hope is too. So I want to add this in so that you guys know this, because if you have faith, oh my gosh, one of my girls gave me this. It's a mustard seed. I don't know if you guys know that verse, but it's like, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can tell that mountain to move and the mountain will move. Okay. So we were going to bed. It was like, I think we were like 3 weeks out from actually promoting. And I was starting to get really nervous. I still had boxes to fill. I still had people that weren't working. I still had lots of volume that I needed. And I was getting really defeated and I was feeling really tired. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. Like, I don't know if I can do this. And I remember we were walking to bed and I said out loud to God, because Brian was right behind me. And I was like, God, and it's, what was it? March that we promoted. So it was in March. And in Oregon, it only snows like literally maybe like a week out of the year. Like that's it. And usually it's just like a dusting, right? And so I was like, Lord, I need it to snow so bad tomorrow that I cannot get out of my driveway because I can't go to work. It was like a Thursday or a Friday. And I needed to not go to work so that I could work my business because I needed to go diamond. And the only way that I could call in or not go, because I'm like a super honest person and I just like can't deal. I can't just call in to be sick. So I was like, I knew that I needed something that like would not allow me to get to work. And so Brian was laughing. He starts laughing. He's like, Rachelle, it's 45 degrees outside. Like it is not going to snow. The next morning we woke up and he was like, I need you to look outside right now. Like, I don't know what happened, but I need you to look outside. It had snowed 6 inches. Okay. I could not pull out of my driveway. Neither of us were going anywhere. I was on my knees immediately, bawling my eyes out like, I'm going diamond. Like that was all I needed. Like I knew I was going to go diamond because that's all I needed was just God to give me a sign of like, you know what? You got to keep going. You got to push through this. And we got it. And we got the $10,000 bonus in 45 days. So executive to diamond, 45 days, $10,000 bonus. Okay. Then things were great. I was a very, very, very strong diamond for almost a whole entire year. I enrolled Brian, who went diamond very, very quickly. So we were both diamonds, very strong. We were maintaining very well. And then this is a part of my story that is, you might need tissues for. This one's really, really tough on me. But I'll try and get through this without crying. So my little brother is like my entire life. Okay. I basically raised him. He's 4 years younger than me. We didn't have a mother growing up. From the time I was 10 years old, she got into drugs and alcohol. My parents divorced and we were raised by a single father. Okay. So he worked all the time to try to support us. And I was the mother figure. Okay. And so at 18 years old for my brother, he was 19 when this happened. This was in December of 2017. Okay. And again, I was maintaining diamonds so well, like by the 25th every single month, maybe even earlier. I mean, we had so much volume as diamonds, right? We were making probably $4,000 a month as me a diamond and him a diamond. And so I quit my job. Sorry, I forgot about that part of my story. I had quit my job. I was pregnant. I was 20 weeks pregnant. Sweetheart, I know. Can you go play with daddy? I was 20 weeks pregnant with this little booger. And I got a call that my little brother was in a car accident at 19 years old, and that one of the passengers in the car had died, and that he was facing some pretty huge charges. I'm talking 6.5 years in prison. And it was the most devastating time in my life. I'm gonna be real and raw with you guys because I don't hide anything. I was 20 weeks pregnant and I didn't eat a dang thing or drink a dang thing in an entire week. Okay, Brian was literally looking at me saying, "You have to eat or our daughter is going to die. You have to take care of this baby," because my little brother was in jail. I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't bail him out. I didn't have the money. You know, here I am posting on social media like, we're doing so great. I quit my job. I retired myself, earned a $10,000 bonus, and I can't even get my brother out of jail. You know, I felt hopeless. I felt worthless. My dad had just gone debt free. Okay, 20 years of him working on the Dave Ramsey plan, and he had gone debt free a couple months before. Okay. And this happens to my little brother, and we go down to my dad's house and we're trying to figure out how we're going to get him out of jail for the holidays. I mean, it was December 15th. Okay. So he's in jail. We have to come up with $14,000. I think it was like $14,000 just to get him out. So actually the bail was set at $140,000, but you only have to put 10% down. It's like the weirdest thing. You do like 10% cash, and then my dad put his house up for the rest of it. Like literally, if he didn't go back to court, you know, if he didn't go to court, then my dad's house would have been taken. That's how bad it was. But obviously we knew he was going to. So anyways, I remember this is the turning point for me. So as this was all happening, of course I was not working my business. I couldn't even get out of bed. Okay. I didn't post. We were on the news. Our family was on the news. People from my high school were texting me asking what in the world happened. You know, is your brother this murderer that they're saying they made him out to be this awful person. And I oh my God, it was so bad. But anyways, so I dropped to executive that December. That quickly, like that, I dropped to executive. Okay. So my business had took a turn for the worse. My life was turned upside down. I was 20 weeks pregnant. I didn't know what to do. And this is the turning point. I went down there and my dad was handing me his credit cards with the strip still on it, you know, like to activate it because he was debt free. So he kept getting his credit cards in the mail, but like he wasn't going to activate them because he didn't need them anymore. And so he's handing them to me shaking. On the phone with the lawyer, he's shaking and he's like, activate this, call and activate this, call and activate this. And he's like, I got to have $5,000 just to speak to this man. I got to have $5,000 just to talk to him about getting him out. Okay. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm such a failure. Like I should be able to just give him that. I should be able to just say, I got it. I got you, Dad. Like, here it is. Here's the money that you need, and not even think about it. Okay. And we had some money in savings, but I mean, we were about to have a baby. I had just quit my job. That was not something we could just drop. Right. And so, right then everything changed for me. I had two decisions to make. I was either going to go back to work because I had failed. Okay. I was either going to go back to work because I didn't know what to do, or I was going to drop the excuses and stop all of this and never be in this situation again. Ever. And if we ever had this problem again, or if we ever had, I tell my team all the time, you guys, you might have not ever been through anything in your business that shattered you. And I don't mean to discourage you when I say this, but you will. Life happens all the time. And so I tell you this, and I tell you this part of my story, not to scare you about losing rank or, you know, that was, I'll take full responsibility for that. That was all my fault. That wasn't the business that my business fell. That was because I didn't work my business, because I physically couldn't. And, so why I tell you guys this is because I tell my team all the time, you want to work, now for things that might happen later on. You might not have kids yet, but think about maybe having a baby in the NICU. What if you have a baby in the NICU and you have all this debt to pay off? Work now for something like that. so that you can have that savings, so that you can be debt free, so that you don't have to put things on credit cards when stuff like that happens. You know, think of it even as a smaller thing, like maybe you need new tires in a couple months. Work now so that you don't have to put that on credit cards. Okay. So I decided right then and there, I would never let it happen again. You guys, I watched my dad sell every single thing in his garage. Okay. I watched him sell everything to get his son where we needed to be. And, I couldn't do anything about it. And so I went to work. And, I had Huntley. Brian was remodeling a house while I was pregnant, while all of this was going on. We got my brother out, and him and my dad are electricians. So they came and they helped us with our house and everything. We had a whole year out with him while he was going through trial, through this whole thing. And, when he went into prison a year later, we promoted to triple and prez back to back. Okay. So I want to give you guys this timeline real quick. So I was a diamond. Brian was a diamond. I fell to executive. I don't remember where Brian was at, but probably nowhere. Like as far as rank wise, I don't remember. So we fell to executive. And then that very next month, I got diamond back. Okay. So in January, I got diamond back that very next month. That next month we went double diamond. And then 1 year later, Brian went double diamond that summer. And then that January, February, we went triple prez. Okay. And Brian's my triple for presidential. And I'm telling you that the only thing that is different between myself and anybody listening to this is that I refused to quit. I refused to stop, and I refused to let anything get in my way from never being in that position again. Okay. So fast forward a year, my brother had about $50,000 in debt. He had about $50,000 from lawyer fees, court fees, all of the things. And we were able to give that to my dad. We didn't actually need to, because my dad figured it out at that point, but we were in a position at any time that if he said, yes, I need it, we had it. And I just remember feeling like we made it because this is where I wanted to be. And so, that's kind of in a nutshell my story, just because I know that people are wanting to know, like, everybody always like comes to me and asks, but everything during that trial, you guys, we prayed and prayed and prayed. We had so many prayer warriors for him, and all of the things that he was serving or supposed to serve for, or like being charged with, I guess. So it should have been 6.5 years. He actually only got 2. 11 out of 12 jurors saw his case and said he's not guilty of any of this, and of what they were trying to blame him of. So I only say that because I always get so many questions. So I want you to know that he is just an incredible person. He is learning so much, growing so much, and he gets out this November. So
oh my gosh. Holy guacamole. I have so much. First of all, West Coast life, girl. I'm from Cali, so I feel you because I fly to Florida every single year, and it is way the F across the country, okay? And it costs me twice as much as the rest of you. It's fine. Second off, You Are a Badass was my first personal development book also, and it literally changed everything for me. If you guys have not listened to this book, for real, like, it's so good. She swears a little bit though, so if you don't like that, then maybe skip it. But it's really, really good. And then we went diamond the same month. We both went diamond in March of 2017, and I got that $10,000 bonus also. So
yes, I love it.
Amazing. That's amazing. And then, dude, just that come to Jesus moment. I feel like pretty much every single person who is like a double diamond or more, like, I don't know why it always happens at diamond, but like a double diamond or more, like, you have had this moment of like, I'm either gonna quit, like I'm either done or like it's go time, and there is no in between. And I had the same thing. I had dropped back down to executive, and I was like, I'm either gonna do the dang thing or I'm gonna stop doing this and go back to and go get a job, you know? And so I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. So then you just went triple and prez in 2019.
Yes. Yep. And then we
Okay.
put that house up that we were remodeling. We put that house up for rent, and we actually started traveling the country full time. So you're like, where are you? I'm in like a fifth wheel RV. And we've been traveling the country for the last 10 months, you guys. So it's
Yeah.
insane. Like that we're
That's
just
what I was
living
saying.
the
She
dream.
lives like this amazing life. She just like jet sets and like drives, they camp in their beautiful RV. You guys, this is not just an RV. This is like a gorgeous, like a mansion on wheels. It's so beautiful. And she just gets to hang out with her little girl all day, who you guys saw. She's adorable. Just living the dream. Absolutely living the dream. Oh my gosh. I absolutely loved all of that. Okay, hold on. I'm pulling up. So you were talking about also consistency. You were talking about how, and the same thing happened to me. I got approached in a coffee shop with a Blitz card, and I didn't even understand what it was. Like, I was like, I'm poor. And she was like, no, it's about making money. And I was like, I'm confused. I don't understand what you're telling me. But then 3 months later, my friend is posting about it on social media day after day after day after day. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, I understand now. I want to do this. Like, let's do it. So it is so important to be consistent. Can you talk a little bit about building on social media and what that consistency on social media? Like, can you just like kind of talk about how that's built your business?
Yeah. So for me, actually, one thing that I'll like tell you guys that really propelled my business right after I had Huntley, I gained 50 pounds with her. And so for me, we had just came out with the coffee and I actually hated it. Like, I absolutely hated every single part of it. I was like, this is disgusting. Absolutely hate the taste. Can't deal. And my hubby or my fiance was like, but like, it makes you skinny. So why don't you just deal with it? And I'm like, won't do it. Like, I hate it. And so I started putting the chocolate greens in it, and I started adding a little bit of sugar-free creamer and like getting a frother and like all of it. You guys, you can always doctor up anything, right? And so then I started to love it. So I started these things called coffee stories, which if you guys follow me, you know that I do them every single day. And it's more of like what we're doing like for the day. I'm like, oh, Huntley didn't sleep last night. What's new? And also I'm just making my coffee with you guys, and this has helped me lose 50 pounds. And here's my before and after.
And this morning when I went to go watch her make her coffee, she had a little thing that was like, we'll resume mornings with Rachelle tomorrow. And I was like, where is her coffee video?
I know. I had the worst migraine in the world this morning, and I was like,
it's fine, but it was one of those moments where I was like, wow, I'm not even a potential, right? Like, I'm just a teammate who like watches you. I can only imagine the people who are like, they want to try the coffee, they want to join the team, and they're like waiting for your story every morning. I was like, I'm not even a potential. And I was like, hey, where's your coffee story this morning?
I know. I did it at like
so
6
good.
p.m. But I did it at like 6 p.m. No joke, because I made myself another cup of coffee because I had Zooms before this and now. And I was like, I need an extra pick me up at 6 p.m. And so I talked about the campaign. I talked about, the TFX and what I'm using and all these things. And so, I'm still consistent, even though it might have not been this morning when I was feeling like absolute crap. I still showed up. I still did my coffee story, even at 6 p.m. So I think that's like the consistency there of like, no matter what. We were in, and I talked about this on stage on green carpet, but we were literally in, like a remote area dirt bike riding, and I had literally zero service. And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, these coffee stories, literally, you guys, I signed 67 customers in my first month doing it. 67 customers from coffee in January of last year. Okay. Just for coffee. That's not all the customers I signed, just for the coffee story.
That was just for the coffee. Just from doing the stories,
just from doing the stories, morning. Like, people were coming to me like, what is this coffee about?
How long had you been? How was that the first month that you did it, or how long have you been?
Yep, the first month I was doing it. Mm-hmm. And because
people
saw me losing the weight, they saw me losing the weight. They saw me using the products every single day. They saw me saying I didn't like it at first. They saw me saying I hated it, but now I like it because I make it with this and I make it with this. So then when they came to me, you guys, I made them get the chocolate greens, and I made them order a frother, and I made them get the same creamer that I had, because I was like, this is what makes it taste like hot cocoa. And you don't want to have it taste like that because it tastes like crap. I don't like it. Like, so I was honest with them about it. And some people do actually like it plain. So don't get me wrong. But my point is just like, I was just real about it. And so they trusted me. They knew that I was drinking it every single morning because because I was making it, and they watched me lose the weight. And so that was huge. My business blew up. And that was in those 3 months, that's when we went back to back triple and press. And when we were, so at triple, you guys, you need 50,000 in volume to promote to triple. Okay. Total volume. And we had like 54,000 or something, like it was barely over the 50. Okay. That very next month we promoted a presidential, and you need 100,000 in volume to go presidential. It's a double, like it doubles. Okay. That's tough. And literally we did it in 1 month's time. We went over 100,000 in volume. So trust me. And that was not all me. Let me tell you, my team is incredible. And we were all doing our coffee stories. We were all just running for more. We were ready for more. And so anyways, I'm so sorry. Consistency on social media. I got so sidetracked.
You just told me everything I need to know about consistency on social media.
Okay, good.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, like that was one specific thing, but you guys, she's making every single day. I follow her, so I know every single day she's making her coffee in her story. She's also just in her story posting cute pictures of her baby and sharing her life, and then sharing before and afters and sharing texts that she gets from her customers. And then she's doing those life posts. And I'm like a really heavy hitter with my team on life posts. So they've probably heard me say this like 700,000 times, but you post about the business and what it's doing for you every single day.
It's at Bits of the Cripps, guys. My hubby's last name, we're not married yet, but his last name is Cripps. So everybody always gets so confused because they're like, at Bits of the Cripps, what is this? And eventually I'll be a Cripps and it will make sense. But anyways, so one last thing that I wanted to add in on that, you guys, is along with consistency is you have to be doing every single thing of the business every day. So if you're not posting every single day, if you're not messaging every single day, if you're not doing stories every single day, if you're not interacting every single day, if you're not adding to your network every single day, then don't do any of them. Okay. Sorry, I'm super red. Like, then why are you doing them? You're wasting time. If you're only putting up one post and you didn't follow up, or you didn't message that day, or you didn't do your stories that day, then don't do it. Because it's not enough. Like, here's the thing. If you slide into someone's DMs and you're like, hey girl, like, I think you'd be so amazing at what I do. Can I give you some more information about it? The first thing they're going to do is go look at your page. Did you know that? You don't have a post up since last week. Oh, what is she even talking about? What does she do? I don't even know, because you didn't post. We don't message. This is what I tell my team all the time. And I know that it's super red, but I got to say it. Listen, we do not message to get responses, period. I can't tell you how many people come to me and they're like, I messaged like 100 people today and I didn't get any responses. That's not why we message. That is not why I message. You want to know why I message? I message to get in people's inboxes so that they go watch my coffee stories every day, so that they go watch my posts every day, so that they go see the other things that I'm doing, because no, they're not going to respond. They don't know what I'm doing. They're confused by it, but now they're watching. Well, she gets to travel the country 24/7 with her kid. Like, what does she do? What is this coffee that she's making? Like, now they're going to come to me. I message to get into their heads. I message to get into their space so that they see what I'm doing. Now they come to ask me. Okay. I can't tell you how many times you'll see like a product model message, and then a opportunity message from me, and then like oh my gosh, your little kid is so cute, like responding to their story message from me. And then like 10 weeks later, it's like, hey girl, can I have more information on your coffee? And I'm like, oh, hi, how's it going? Like, do you see those messages above? Like, no, because they weren't interested then. All we do is want to get into their inbox. So the quicker that you learn that and understand that, when you send out messages, that's not the fortune is in the follow-up. Where you're going to make your money is when you're following up with people who actually are already interested in what you do. The messaging is just a part of your day, and you can't get butthurt when people don't respond to you, because that's not why we're messaging. And then also make sure that you're doing all of the things, because if you don't post to your story, then that message was there's no reason for it. There's no reason to send out that message if you didn't put up a post that day. There's no reason to do interacting if you didn't put in your story, if you didn't do anything in your stories. Do you guys see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's like, and then there's definitely no reason to message if you're not adding new people, because you're probably just messaging the same people over and over again instead of new people. And if you aren't doing any of the above, then you probably don't have anyone to follow up with, so you can't even follow up in the first place. Exactly. I love that. I literally wrote doing everything every day, because that's what you have to do in this business.
It takes you an hour.
It does.
Literally
it really does.
Messaging might take you a little bit longer. So like what, an hour of your day?
But I was gonna say, you could do everything else besides messaging in 30 minutes, and then you could do 30 minutes of messaging.
Yep.
And that's
at a different time, or breaking it up into 5-minute increments or whatever you need to do. But trust me when I say, like, power 30s are my jam with this girl who never sleeps. Let me tell you.
I feel you. My son is upstairs literally fighting bedtime right now. When we get off here, I'm gonna have to go save my husband. So there was a couple more things. So I mean, you kind of just told us, but your daily non-negotiables, you kind of just laid it out for us. Do you have like a certain number of things that you're trying to hit, or is it just like, I don't know?
It's more like my coffee story is absolutely non-negotiable, no matter what. So that's something that I do no matter what time of day. Like, you'll see me get on there at least once. And then definitely posting is a non-negotiable. You might see, like, I went one day without posting last week, and I like freaked out because I was like, oh my gosh, like I just can't deal. But we were traveling, and like, I'm not making excuses, it should have been up. But this is where I think one of your questions too is going to be like, how do I stay organized? And my posts have to be organized, because my life is complete chaos all the time. So I can whip out messages while we're driving in the truck. I can whip out messages when she goes to bed. I can do that stuff whenever I need to, but posts are something that I want to be good life posts. You know what I mean? I don't want to just whip that out. And so most of the time I'll take a bunch of pictures. You know, we take pictures all the time. I'm like literally looking at Brian like 24/7. I'm like, oh, can you take this picture? Oh, can you take, like, I did my hair today. Can you take this picture? Like, and actually he's like trained so well now that like, he just knows when to take the pictures, and it's like, oh, this is a great background. Like, let's take a picture here. And I tell my girls that work all the time, I have a lot of girls that do this. They'll actually go out on the weekends and just like they'll spend a whole hour one day doing a big photo shoot, because then they get a bunch of pictures that they can put words to. And they just bring a couple different outfits. Like during the fall, they went to, sorry, it's super loud over here. During the fall, they went to a pumpkin patch.
I was about to say, I got to go check on the baby, but you just keep going. I got my AirPod in. I'm listening.
So they like went to the pumpkin patch, and they like took pictures in wheelbarrows and next to the pumpkins. And like, they had fall pictures for all of October from just 1 hour of taking photos with everybody. So like, if you're somebody who's like, I get it, Rachelle, but I don't travel the country full time, and I can't just take pictures like 24/7. I don't get ready every single day. I totally get it. But when you do get ready, take some different clothes, take some different shirts, take some selfies, have those pictures ready, and take different styles of pictures, ones where you're looking at your phone, whatever, and just plan. What I like to do is I sit in bed when I'm inspired, like right after I get off a Zoom that like just was like fire, or if I listen to something that like really inspired me, then this is what Jade Hooper does too. Like, as soon as she's inspired, she just writes all her life posts. I see you're eating cheese. Yeah, you're stalling. So I just write everything while I'm inspired. And sometimes I can whip out a post. Like today I whipped out a post that was not, planned or anything, but it's because now at this point in my business, I can be like, we get freedom. Like, I'm just going to talk about freedom of time because I'm so grateful for it. And so sometimes I can whip that out, but most of the time, especially if you guys work, take a day and plan your posts. And then maybe that day, all you do is plan your posts and add to your network and do your self-development. That's okay if one of your days is based around being inspired, writing your life post for the week, and just really like kind of organizing your week, because that's the only way to like stay organized or really like, be successful and make sure that your week is successful. And then the only other thing that I can say about organization is that that's the only thing in my life that is organized is my posts. Other than that, like, I'm not even kidding you. When I sign a loyal customer or a distributor, I do write them down in a planner, but I am not one that writes down any of my potentials. And you guys might think that I'm crazy. I'll tell you how I do it, but I've tried it a million different ways. I used to be a pro at writing them all down every single night. And then I had Huntley, and that went straight out the window. Like, I do not know how mamas do it, but I am so proud of you guys that do, but I just can't. It's not a thing that I can do. She's drawn all over it. Like, I just can't. So what I do is I put them all in my phone. So literally I have a conversation going. Somebody texts me and says coffee. Then I tell them all about coffee. But before I even respond to that message, I immediately swipe up, go to my calendar in my phone. I write down the name of that person, where they're from, Instagram or Facebook or text, whatever. And then so their name, Instagram, and then PLC for coffee. Okay. So literally I can search in my calendar PLC each day. I can search PLC or each week, however you like to follow up. I usually do weekly for PLCs, and my PDTs, I'm in their inbox like the next day, even like within hours later, because I like want to keep that conversation going. But my PLCs, usually I follow up every Friday. So I'll type in PLC, and then all my PLCs come up for that week, actually from all times. And I can just go back through and follow up with them. What I love about it is that the iCalendar is, I have a Mac and I have an iPad and I have my phone. So if I'm in the truck, I can have my iPad up with my calendar. I don't even need Wi-Fi for it. And I can be following up on my phone with the people that are, it all syncs together. So that's what works for me. I've gotten to a point where when I had an office, I actually printed them out each week. So I could print out my calendar, and then I could kind of highlight the ones that joined. But other than that, like, that's my organization, you guys. Like, it is all phone based. So I pray to God that technology never goes away. But that's how I keep it. And then once they sign, they get written down in my planner for the month. They get written down under LC or DT, so that I can go back through and see who I've signed, who I'm working with. But other than that, I don't write them down anywhere.
No, I love that. So I have always just gotten people's phone number and literally just saved their contact as PLC or PDT, like their name, PLC or PDT, and I literally just follow up from my text messages. Like,
I love that.
Because I am exactly like you. Before I had Casper, I was like the planner girl. I had a planner and a notebook and a clipboard and like all the things. And now it's like, I'm lucky if I even bring my phone into every room with me, because he's so busy and I'm always just trying to keep him like entertained. And so then when he goes to go down for a nap, I don't want to spend all of this time like pulling out these papers, pulling out a thing. Like, I want to just be able to just boom, type PLC. Who am I checking in with? Who am I following up with? Like, let's just do the thing. So I love that. So this is kind of my like final question for you. Now that we're in 2020 and we're in the boom season, obviously you just talked about, you're having your team do all the things, but is there anything else or anything that you would tell those of us? What are we doing right now, I guess, going into conference? Conference is 2 weeks away. We know there's going to be announcements. There's already been awesome announcements last year. There were so many new products, all these things. But like, for the next 2 weeks, like, what are you telling your team? Like, what are you pouring into them right now?
There is some huge things coming, you guys. Like,
I'm going to cry.
I can't even begin to tell you, because I'm sworn to secrecy. But we were like in Costa Rica. We got to hear all the things, like all the things. It is going to blow your mind. So what I am telling my team right now is not to wait for conference. I am telling them to get to freaking work right now. Like a $10,000 bonus was just announced. Like a $50,000 bonus was just announced. Like, we are working so hard on building these relationships, building these, potentials lists, everything that we have. Sorry, she's not nursing anymore, but she likes to put her hand down my shirt. I don't know what's happening. So honey, stop, please. But that's what I'm telling them, is just like, make sure that you're doing all of the things. Complete your 6 list every single day. And one thing that I kind of, this is what I ask myself every single night, and this might help you guys as well. Whether you're a leader or you don't have a lot of people on your team, like, it will eventually make sense to you. But so I don't lay my head down. Honey, you okay? Okay, thank you.
She's so tired. She's like, Mom, just put me to sleep.
I know. I don't lay my head down at night unless I think to myself, if I did everything, if my team did everything that I did today, would I be satisfied? Would I be proud? Like, so if I didn't do my full 6 list, or excuse me, if my team didn't do their full 6 list, then I can't go to sleep. Like, I'm getting this backwards, you guys. I'm so tired.
No. I get what you're saying though. Like, if every single person on my team did what I did today, like, would that be enough to get me to where I want to go? Would that be enough?
Like, could I sleep at night? You know what I mean? Because I can't expect them to do the things that I'm not doing. We have to lead from the front. And I can't tell you how many times when you start to get to that leadership level where you do have a lot of leaders on your team, I'll be the first one to admit it's easy to think in your mind, like, okay, I finally have people who are working with me. I finally am at a point where I can breathe for a second. And let me tell you something, that is the biggest mistake in the world, because you have to constantly be leading from the front. Okay, if your team is not seeing your enrollments, if your team is not seeing that you are doing your 6 lists every day, that you are posting every day, that you are showing up on your copy stories every day, then why in the heck would they show up? Why would they show up? Okay, and then the other thing that I've been doing or telling them a lot of is in 2020, it's all about vision, right? And so my personal goal is to read 3 books a month. I've already read 3 books and it's only the 16th. So I'm like smashing that goal. I'm so proud of myself because last year was not a thing. Like I just didn't read as many books as I wanted to. And when I say read, you guys, I mean listen on Audible or, whatever, just doing my self-development every single day. And so I'm really pushing that to my team because here's the thing. I'm ready for ambassador, right? I've been ready for ambassador since last year. That is where I want to go. But a lot of the times when we're ready for something, sometimes our team isn't ready for things yet. And so we really need to put that into perspective for them if they want to get to that next level. I think it was Ashley Mayfield who was like, she asked on a Zoom once, honey, stop, please. I'm almost done, I promise. She asked on a Zoom once where she was like, okay, how many of you want to like a $10,000 a month paycheck? And then she was like, okay, so for the people who said that, how many of you have read more than 1 book this month? Or like, how many books have you read? And people were saying like 0. And she was calling that arrogant. She's like, so you basically want a $10,000 paycheck, but you're not even willing to work on yourself? Like, how does that work? And so it really shook me to understand that like my team needs to hear that. Like, I do my self-development every single day because I need it, right? Like I absolutely crave that. I need it. But if we're not telling our teams to do that, and we're not showing them that in order for them to get to that next level, they've got to grow and it's going to be uncomfortable. And so we need to be showing that to our teams. And so that we're growing, we're doing all the things, and we are just like, we're not waiting for conference, but we are so stinking excited for what is about to
come. I love that. I love what you just said, which is like, because actually I just got like a private message and someone was asking like, oh, do we still have the $10,000 bonus? Because you and I were talking about it. And I was like, we don't. And I can't tell you for 100% that like we will, but like Marky Mark always throws us a little bit of a bone in your conference, y'all. There's going to be something. There'll be something. And you don't want to wait until it's there for you. And then you're like, oh my God, I got to go after it. Like you already want to be halfway there. That way when he drops it, you can just go for it.
Yeah. Think about all the people that you're talking to right now. If you triple that number or like even 10 times that number of the people that you're talking about, let's say he does drop a $10,000 bonus. He didn't say anything about bonuses, so we don't know that kind of stuff, but we know a lot that's coming and it's incredible. So he wouldn't tell us that, unfortunately. But what I will say is that if he did drop a $10,000 bonus, you want to be able to go to every single PDT and be like, oh my gosh, they just announced a $10,000 bonus. I'm running for it. My team is running for it. Are you ready to jump on board with me? And all of these people are going to say yes. But if you're not talking to people right now,
then you don't have anyone to follow up with.
You're not going to have anybody to talk to.
And that's what you were just saying also about like, you don't message to sign people up. You don't even post to sign people up, really. You're posting because you're trying to be consistent. You're trying to show people. You're messaging because you want to get in people's inboxes. The fortune is in the follow-up, as in the people that you're going to make money from are the people who we drop a new product and you text them. We drop a BOGO and you text them. We have a $69 kit deal and you text them. And those are not people that I'm just going to randomly on my Facebook. Those are people who I've been already talking to for days or weeks or months.
Or even years.
Or even years. Yep. Amen. Yeah. I started.
How many people are like, oh, I'm ready. And I'm like, what, you weren't ready on like the $20 kit deal? Like, I've been talking to you for 3 years. Like, now
I
you want
know.
to try for 99? Like,
one time I texted you and it was literally $10, but that's fine. Let's get you started.
Like, let's do
go.
it.
Like, that's fine.
But it's so funny because
oh my gosh, I love that.
People are they're ready when they're ready, you guys, and you can't say the wrong thing to the right person at the right time. Okay, I always add that on because we hear people say that all the time where it's like, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person at the right time. Okay, so you can say everything and anything to these people, and if they are not ready, if you know, a lot of the times I talk to a lot of pregnant girls, you guys, can I have this? Thank you. I talk to a lot of pregnant ladies who are like, I'm just not ready yet. Like, I want to wait until I have the baby and I'll have more time. And I'm like, this is your first baby, isn't it? This is your first baby. Like, I'm not judging, but let me tell you something, girl, you better get on it right now, because
I've literally been telling every girl on my team who doesn't have babies that they best go like ambassador before the babies start coming out.
seriously.
Because I'll tell you what, I was a double diamond, been a double diamond, had my son, had big goals of going triple before he was born. Wasn't in God's plan for me. We moved, a bunch of other crazy things happened, but it is like whole nother level when you got a little human running your life.
Guys,
like,
I'll tell you this, and then like we can end whenever you're ready, because I know we've
but
no, like
you're so
Brian, I will never forget this, and for those of you who have kids, this might bring tears to your eyes because it always brings tears to mine. I will never forget this. She was swinging in her like little swing at 6 weeks old, like a little baby swing, right? And he had asked me like a couple of days before, like when kids normally go to daycare. I'm sorry, one of my biggest accomplishments, and I didn't even tell you guys it in my story, is that the day that Huntley was born, Brian retired from hardwood floors. So he's literally never been like a work. He's never had to work since Huntley was born. Literally that day, he never went back to work. And so he was like, so kids like just go to daycare. And so that was a couple days prior. And then we're sitting there and she's swinging at 6 weeks old, and he looked at me and he had tears in his eyes. And I was like, what? Like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? And he's like, she's just too little. Like, she's too little. Like, she would go to daycare right now. Like, it's not okay. Like, we're just so fortunate. And I was just like a blubbering mess because I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that.
It
like,
does.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. That was me at 8 weeks old, when my son was 8 weeks old, which was literally just in September. And we moved into this brand new, beautiful new townhouse when he was 9 weeks old. And he's never not been with family. Like, the times that he's not been with me, he's been with my mom, or he's been with Tyler's mom. And it is just such a blessing. And maybe that's not for you. Maybe you're like, my kids can go to daycare, whatever. But for me, knowing where I came from, working 60 hours a week, all of these things, like, just imagining having to you know, put him in daycare was just never an option. And it's a huge blessing. And the fact that it can be flexible around her schedule is just, it's just the most amazing thing.
I was actually that person who was always like, from the time that I can remember, I was always that person who was like, I'm going to be a working mom and my kids will go to daycare, because I loved what I did. I was always really good at jobs. I loved working. That was me. And so I thought for sure. And then I had her, you guys, and I cannot tell you, your whole perspective changes. You think you can conquer the world until that baby comes out and you're like, oh my gosh, I could never leave her. Like, I can, and maybe you can, and that's totally fine. But here's the thing that I actually realize more often than not, is that most of the time we're okay with it because we've had to be okay with it.
Yes.
We've had to put our kids in daycare because that's all we ever knew. And then this business came around and now we don't have to put them in daycare. And it's like, it's incredible. And so I think for the longest time, like, of course I would have been okay with daycare. That would have been my life. That would be the only thing that I would have known. I would have just had to deal with it. But because of this business, we don't have to do that. And I think that it's such a blessing in disguise. We take a lot of this for granted, and not in a bad way. We don't think about it.
Well, and I think that you can put that in the perspective of like just a lot of things that this business, it just allows for it. It's just so flexible and it's so lucrative and it's so good. The products are so good and our compensation plan is so good and our company is Christian based and we have so much integrity, and it's like there's so much of it that's just like living like it works. Living debt free is normal. In the rest of the world, living debt free is not normal. Freedom of time is normal with it works. Freedom of time is not normal in the rest of the world, not even close. And so I think, if you're on here and you're not a mom or whatever, and you want to put some of the things we're saying about daycare in the same perspective, is like, your life does not have to look how you think it has to look. It just doesn't. Just because that's the way you've always done it, that's the way your parents have done it, that's the way you've seen other people do it. Rachelle is living proof that you can literally live entirely outside of the mold. Her and her husband have never worked in her daughter's life. They literally travel the country in an RV. She makes an incredible income from this business, all from social media. And that can be you too, you guys. And I think that's like, I don't really have like a super active upline until you get to Jade Hooper. So I'm pretty close with her. And just hearing her come back from Costa Rica and just talking about how every single person who was at Costa Rica, first of all, tons of new faces, which makes me super excited, because it's like, there's still room up there. There's still room up there. It could be anybody. And then also, it's all different. You have like Melody McFarland to Jade Hooper to Rachelle to Ashley Mayfield. Like, you have all of the people who are doing who all come from different places, all different ages, all different lifestyles, and they're doing this. So like, why not us? Why not us?
So to put this into perspective about Costa Rica, so that you guys understand this, because Amber Parker actually told Jackie Deering this, and I did not know this. So I meet Jackie Deering at Costa Rica, and she was like, oh my gosh, Rachelle, like, I have to pick your brain. I have to talk to you. Amber Parker told me to come talk to you. She's like, you moved up 1,000 spots income-wise. I moved up 1,000 spots. You guys, I didn't know this. So Jackie Deering's telling me this, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
You're like, I did what?
1 year prior to that, I was a double diamond. Okay, Hope, I want you to hear this. 1 year prior to that, I was a double diamond. That was it. I mean, like, not even that was it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I was a double. A year later, we were at the top 20 retreat. Like, you do not, the only thing that is limiting you right now is yourself. You have to know, and I'm not just talking to you, Hope, I'm just saying, like, that was what was limiting me. That was what was limiting me, was like, I just thought, like, I'm not even kidding you guys. I got the top 150 email last year, and I was number 48. And I'm not kidding you. I looked at Brian and I was like, oh my God, they forgot the one. They forgot, like, I'm 148.
You're like, I'm number 148.
Because I had never been top 150. I'd never been top 150. So I was like, I didn't believe that I was top 150. I didn't believe that I could get there. I had just gone presidential. Like, I was like, no way. And I'm top 48. And I was like, they forgot the one. I was so disappointed. I'm like, how am I going to tell them this? Like, this is so embarrassing. I truly believe that. I truly believe that.
That was so me. I would text Jade and be like, I think there's been a mistake.
Yeah, there's a mistake here. And then I found out that we really were. We made top 50 the first time we had ever been in top 150. So, honey, please stop. Here.
I've got like my whole little like dream board, affirmations, whatever. My number is 62 for 2020. Coming for number 62. Never been in the top 150 before, but I'm coming for it. And I'm literally already getting texts from girls on my team talking about how much this fired them up and how grateful we are that you came on here with us. I cannot wait to squeeze you in 2 weeks. We have to hug and selfie. I can't wait. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing with us tonight. This helped me. This helped so many people. You're amazing. Keep doing what you're doing, girl. You're inspiring so many. And we really appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Of course.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope you guys have a great night. I'll see you at conference.
Sounds good. Good night, guys.
Bye.